Greetings and welcome back to another quick tutorial. This time we're going to go over Nano, which is a text editor for the actual terminal. Now, we've kind of done this already when I was showing you how to create a file. I just showed you real quick. This shouldn't take too long. We're not going to go very in-depth onto Nano. There is quite a bit you can do with it. But there are a few things I want to point out again as a reminder with a file system. Remember, whenever you open a terminal, if you see that tilde, and this is where most Linux starts you off, is in the home of the user that you are. So in this case, remember, home is the folder that users are normally put into in Linux, and then our user is pi. So when I type in ls, enter, you'll see that there are the folders that we have in our home directory. Right? So it's really important when you're running these commands as we're going, especially as we get into some running Python and different pieces, and we go further into where you actually run commands. It's important to understand that whenever you run a command, its default is to execute right there, right? And I mentioned that before. Like you can tell it by putting that slash home slash pi slash documents, right? You can go ahead and tell it I want to execute here, because this is like being here. So you can tell it you can execute here, but by default you're going to execute in the actual place that you were. So I'm going to delete this real quick, clear it, because we're going to go over to Nano. So again, when I type in Nano, it executes right here, but I don't want to be here, so I am going to change directory. So cd space documents. Again, you can just hit tab and then enter, and now you can see document. So we are here right now, and I am going to create a file because there's nothing there. If there was a file already here, and we'll show this in a little bit, if there was a file already here, we could access it, but we're going to create one. So nano my first file, and I'm going to call it .text. You don't technically need to do anything, but this helps you a lot. Remember what kind of file it is. Is it a Python file? Is it an executable, right? So by putting .text, it lets you know it's a text file. So I click enter, and now it's just blank, right? So this is where you would type. Now there's a few things to remember, and you'll probably figure it out real quick, is you can't use the mouse. So if I type this is my first file, and I can't click over here. I have to use the cursor in order to move where I want to go. And that includes when you have a bunch of different lines. Enter, enter, enter. Hello, people. Right. I can't click to go back up here. I have to up arrow, up arrow, up arrow, and get back in there. Now, there are a bunch of commands down here at the bottom. And each of them, basically, when you see the up arrow, that means hit control. The two big ones that I want you to know is Control O goes to save it, and then Control X takes you back out. So let's go ahead, again you can't click, let's go ahead and hit Control O. You'll see also down at the bottom, file name to write. Now this is where you could change the file name if you wanted to, and there is no file there yet. So this will go ahead and save it if you click enter, right? So Control O, and it doesn't prompt you, so this is something you just need to know. You click enter, and it saved it. And you see, as soon as we did that, the file showed up in the documents, because that is where we were. If we would have been in here, right, then the file would have showed up here. So it's important to understand where you're at is where this file is going to show up. So let's do the Control X, and now we're back here. And I'm going to clear again. Remember, you can use the up arrow, but the key is, and so this is Nano first file. If we want to open this file again, we do. Now let's go ahead and try this. I'm going to open this up real quick. I double clicked on it. In theory, that should open a program. There we go. So it has mousepad. That's the name of this editor. And I'm going to hit enter a few more times and say hi back, right? And miss my I. And then you can hit Control S, we'll save it. Also, clicking go in file, save, which is just how I know Control S, and this is how you know these cool little hints. So, also, here's a cool fun fact, that little star means it hasn't been saved since you opened it, so Control S, or since you last saved it. Notice how that star went away. If I add just a single space, that star comes back, Control S, and now it's saved. Now I'm going to close this, and I want you to point out that because when I go to open this in Nano, it's going to go ahead and have that. So enter, and see this hide back we just edited in the text editor, right? So that is something to point out. If you just want to view it, you don't have to hit Control O. We didn't change anything. Again, you can't click where you want to go. You need to use the arrow key. So I can just Control X to get out of there. Now it is important that the file name is exactly the same, right? So if I type in my first with a capital F, I click enter. Notice how there's nothing there. It's not because you deleted the file. It's because you're in the process of creating a new file. So if I type anything and I hit Control O and enter, I just created this extra file, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And here's a cool fun fact. You can type in rm my first file.txt. rm stands for remove, so I removed the one with the capital F. So again, it's not that it doesn't work, it's not that it breaks, it's just it doesn't open that file for you, thus it essentially is broken and you're going to just create another file. So you're like, where'd all the, I just had this. So again, that up arrow is very useful to make sure you have the right one. So lowercase, enter. All right. And again, we can use this text editor to add more. And then just got to do that Control O, enter, Control X. And now when I open this, it will have the new data from what we just added. That's all there really is to Nano. It does allow you to view files as well. If there was already a file there, like this file was there before we even got there, it'll be there. The key is to know where it's at. So like if I cd ... this makes me go back a file, this one right here. So if I run the Nano, and this time it's spelled correctly, right? My first file, this is the name of it. If I run that, again, it's trying to create a new one in this folder. So I'm going to Control X, and it didn't actually create it because I didn't save it. Now, I did mention you can go straight there. So I can go nano /home/pi/documents. I hit tab there to go faster. My first file.txt. And I can still open this, right? I can still open my first file. I just need to put the whole entire path. If I'm not in the correct thing, I need to put the whole entire path to get to that file, right? Again, this doesn't work. There's no file here. I need to type in the whole entire thing. Or, again, just do your good old CD and CD into documents. And now when I ls, you'll see that that file is there. That is all there really is to Nano. Hopefully there's also a good refresher on reviewing the file directories and creating files. Also, you learn the command remove. That will delete it. Another tutorial will show you how to move files and folders, but for now, rm is a remove command. We will see you next tutorial.